Valentin Borisevich, physicist, former head laboratory of the Institute of Nuclear Energy, Belarusian Academy of Sciences.
On that day, I came to work at the Institute, which was in a forest outside of Minsk. It was wonderful weather, spring. I opened the window. The air was fresh and clean. And I was surprised to see that for some reason, the blue jays that I'd been feeding all winter, hanging pieces of sausage out the window for them, they weren't around. Had they found a better meal somewhere? In the meantime, there's panic at the reactor at the Institute. The dosimeter readings are up 200 times in the air cleaning filters. Well, that's very serious. That level is the highest allowable during work in radioactively dangerous zones for a maximum of 6 hours. Well, the first theory was that a hermetic seal had broken on one of the heat-generating elements. We checked it, and it was fine. At this point, the internal radio announces that workers are advised not to leave the building. The area between our separate buildings grows deserted. Not a single person. It was frightening and strange. The dosimetrists check my office. The desk is glowing. My clothes are glowing. The walls are glowing. I get up. I don't even want to sit in my chair. Is it possible there's an emergency at our institute? Well, some leak. And I was very proud of our reactor. I studied every millimeter of it. Well, we call up the nearby Inglingst nuclear plant. Their instruments are going crazy. They're also panicking. So we call Chernobyl. Nobody answers. By lunchtime, we find out there's a radioactive cloud over all of Minsk. We determined the activity was iodine in nature. That means the accident was at the reactor.
I told my parents I had to go to Vasya in Moscow. My mother was crying. Where are you going, pregnant the way you are? So I took my father with me. He went to the bank and took out all the money they had. I don't remember anything about the trip. In Moscow, we asked the first policeman we saw, where did they put the Chernobyl firemen? It was a state secret, but he told us, hospital number 6, special hospital for radiology. There, I had to bribe a woman at the door to get in. Finally, I get to the office of the head radiologist, and right away she asks, do you have kids? I can see already I need to hide that I'm pregnant, but I don't show yet. Yes, I lie. 2, a boy and a girl. Good. So you don't need to have any more. But listen, his central nervous system is completely compromised, and his skull. And listen, if you start crying, I'll kick you out. And absolutely no hugging or kissing. Don't even go near him. You have 20 minutes. There are 28 of them who came on the plane, and they all want to know about their children or their families in Pripyat. I tell them that the whole town is being evacuated. One woman in their group who had worked at the plant that day began crying, worried about her children. I met a lot of good people at that time. I remember one old woman, janitor, she taught me there are sicknesses that can't be cured, You just have to sit and watch. Vasya started to change. Every day I met a brand new person. The burns started to come to the surface. At first, they were little lesions. Then they grew. His skin came off in layers. It's impossible to talk about this. I loved him so much. And if they told me 14 days, in 14 days, he will die.
Vasily Nestorenko, former director, Institute for Nuclear Energy and Belarusian Academy of Sciences.
Someone's going to have to answer for Chernobyl. They're criminals. The day will come, it might be 50 years, everyone might be old, everyone might be dead. So we need to leave the facts behind us. On that day, 26th of April, I was in Moscow on business. That's where I learned about the accident. I called Nikolai Shlunkov, General Secretary of the Belarus Communist Party. They wouldn't connect me to him. I reached his assistant who knew me well. I'm calling from Moscow. Get me Shlunkov. I have information he needs to hear right away. Emergency information. I'm calling over a government line, and as soon as I start talking about the accident, the line goes dead. Even I was blocked, so I only hope the appropriate agency is listening. It took me 2 hours to reach Shlunkov. I've already received reports, says Shlunkov. There was a fire, but they put it out. I can't hold it in. That's a lie. Any physicist will tell you graphite burns at something like 5 tons per hour. Think of how long it's going to burn. I get on the first train to Minsk. In the morning, I'm home. I measure my son's thyroid. That was the ideal dosimeter then. It registered 180 microroentgens per hour. He needed potassium iodide. A child needed 2 to 3 drops in a glass of solvent. An adult, 3 to 4. The reactor burned 10 days. This should have been done for 10 days. But no one listened to us, the scientists, the doctors. On the 29th of April, I finally get into Shlunkov's office, the reception area. They don't let me in. I keep trying. I sit there till 5:30. At 5:30, a famous poet walks out of Shlunkov's office. I know him. He says to me, "Comrade Shlunkov and I discuss Belarus culture." I explode. There won't be any Belarus culture. There won't be anyone to read your damn books if we don't evacuate everyone from Chernobyl right away.